All right, 100 Thieves time for the first time in a bit. Let's see if people are excited about this new season coming up. Oh. Oh man, thank God League is back.
These beautiful things that I've
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rendezvous, your place for everything 100 Thieves League of Legends. And man, does it feel good to finally be here, because it has been almost 3 months now since we've had an official match, and when we left things, it was kind of on a sour note. So yes, I am very, very happy that we are finally back into the swing of things and that we finally have action back this weekend, because as you'll come to find out, that first match is actually insanely important. But before we get there, I want to set some expectations for 2025, because there have been no podcasts from the 100 Thieves staff or people like that. Last year at this point, I was able to have Jungle Juice, Spooks, and Golden Glue on the crossover podcast with me to be able to talk about things and where we want the org to be by the end of the year. I think there's an intentional reason why that has not happened this year, because it's going to suck if they come out and say, hey, these are our goals for 2025 and where we want to be at the end of the year. But the looming threat of it possibly all going away at the end of this year is still real. So they don't want to put that out in the public eye, given that, to my understanding, nobody at 100 Thieves knows whether the org will still be around at this point next year in League of Legends or not. It is entirely on Riot for them to decide whether they want us or not. So it seems like they're holding back on certain things, which I kind of understand, but at the same time, if you want to prove to Riot that you should be here, you would think that you would still put all that stuff out. So that's where we are. So I'll set the expectations myself, since nobody else will, I guess. The goal for 2025 can be summed up simply as this: become a contender. It is clear that there is a top two in this league. It is FlyQuest, it is Team Liquid. Cloud9, ourselves, Shopify, everybody else is fighting to try and contend with those two, especially given the reduction of international slots this year. Only one team goes out of both the North and South Conference to international play for Split 1. Split 2, you have to win the entire North Conference, so technically only one NA team, and for Worlds, at most, 2. So if you want to stand a chance, you have to become a contender with those top 2. And that's where we need to develop to, especially given that we are in our second year of this roster with almost all of the same players from last year, with the exception of FBI coming in for Tomo. Individual players are going to need to step up. We need to see them win lanes. We know that we have mechanical talent with Quid, with Sniper. We've seen FBI do it as well. We need to win our lanes if we're going to pick for that. If we're going to sit back and scale, we need to be able to go even in those lanes and try and do as much as we can to get ourselves to that late game portion quicker, or at least minimize the gap or deficit that we would have going into that point. And most importantly for this roster, we need to fix the macro woes that plagued us last year. Fights where we're not on the same page, Sniper TPing a little bit too late to fights, or coming into fights and dying almost immediately. These are all things that we need to see improvement on this year, which I'm expecting us to. Now, will there still be mistakes? Yes. It's not like FlyQuest and TL changed at all. They're exactly the same and should be, in theory, improving upon their mistakes as well and improving on their micro and macro, as are many other players and teams in this league. But one of the benefits of us being one of the only 3 squads to have only changed one piece or fewer is that we should have that chemistry and should have a leg up on people to be able to progress a little bit quicker. We need to come out the gates hot. So in terms of expectations for this LTA Split 1, it is to make top 4 at this event, which means you'd be a top 4 team in both the North and South Conference. We ended the year last year in 3rd. I think 4th would be great, and then you'd be contending against either Team Liquid or FlyQuest based on how that bracket looks to try and move further. I'm not saying we need to win, but I think putting a tangible number on that top 4 slot is perfectly fine and acceptable. Anything below that should be seen as a failure, and we need to look at what prevented us from getting there, or if we are there, it's like, okay, then that top 4 matchup is a real indicator of, can we finally become a contender? We'll worry about Split 2, Split 3 when we get there, but I also want to touch on the org side, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, but it's a little bit more in depth. I do want to see more content from 100 Thieves League of Legends. I know Danny is now with the group full time. One pattern that we fall into, that every other org falls into when we are supposed to be like the content people, other than now Shopify because they have Ludwig and Voice Critical, is that you just put out voice comms and that documentary series. I do not want to see just that. I want to see at least 2 videos a month minimum beyond that, which help put more content into the space, help drive the narrative around our team. Because one thing that I've always found useful with this series is that I can find ways to shoehorn 100 Thieves content and narratives into the conversation. And if you can get people to talk about that on Hotline League or with Kadrill, with Dom, with LS, like you need to get yourself in all these shows. Put stuff out there that can get the conversation going. That's going to be a mix of both fun stuff that's entertaining and also some of the more serious stuff, like a look behind the scenes of like some of our flaws and situations. And they need to be coming out in real time because Team Liquid has now set that precedent from last year when they were putting out like the post-game coach interview stuff. We need to be on top of this. The timeline speeds up. We can't be watching footage from a month ago, a month later. Nobody cares at that point, especially now that we have 3 international events. Things move at a rapid pace, and you could be eliminated from the split in a matter of a week and a half. So from the org front, let's pick up the pace of content, of socials, of everything. Be on top of this. Constantly be slamming it down everybody's throats the entire time. I'd rather them be annoyed of us than to have not heard about us or hear our points and our narratives at all. And finally, I would like to stay in the LTA North. I know we have no control over that, but that's a goal for this year. All right, next let's go around the org, around 100 Thieves, and see what all has been going on. And the first thing, we got our jersey for 2025, and I'm going to be real with you, it's the best jersey since the baseball one back in 2018. And yes, I bought it on my own with my own money before people say like, oh, is he part of 100 Thieves? Did they just send him everything? No, I bought this shit on my own. I understand that narrative. I kind of position myself to invoke those questions and opinions at times, but I'm not part of the org. 100 Thieves, hit me up if you ever want to change that. I'm just saying. But yeah, this is clean. It's an evolution on last year's Adidas jersey, the black and gray, which then turned into the white for the championship versions. We're starting with white, but I love the addition of like the red stripe around the shoulders. It adds a much needed kind of 100 Thieves flair while still keeping true to that white. And the geoprint is the geoprint. Like it's the staple for 100 Thieves. That original hoodie has kind of followed us up to this point. And dear God, do I freaking love it. I really do. I'm not gonna lie to you, I was a little bit weary on like if the jersey wasn't like over the top, like 10 out of 10, I was probably gonna avoid getting it just with the looming questions of whether we'd still be in league long term or not. But this feels like a proper farewell jersey to wear, at least for the year. It's an investment for content and everything else, and can serve as a good memento, especially if we do end up staying. You never know. And the second thing around the org is there was a video released on the 100 Thieves main channel, which we'll get into the 100 Thieves main channel at some point in time in the future. That's a whole other can of worms to open there, but it was one of the best videos that I've seen in such a long period of time from this org, which had every single player of all of the esports teams coming together to answer questions about gaming topics. The league team, you could tell, is like the least vocal outside of Sniper. FBI and Ayla had some moments towards the end, but for the most part, like Quid and River kind of like kept to themselves, which I always love. They're just chilling in the back. But there was one question that like was particularly good where they asked if League of Legends is like the hardest esport to like climb the ranks or get into. And like the league players, ultimately at the end, I use like the screenshot as kind of bait, but like people kind of were like flip-flopping opinions as you kind of went. But overall, the video is just a fantastic discussion led by mostly the Valorant and COD guys, but like the league guys got some points in, which were really, really freaking fun to watch. That was what made me a fan of 100 Thieves in the first place, was like it felt like you were going like above and beyond just one esport. Like you were a part of family, you were a part of that. I would have loved to have seen some content creators get like thrown into that as well, just to see like the mix of opinions. Or maybe you can actually that's perfect. You could do that for a separate video, have like esports pros versus content creators of 100 Thieves. You have one player from like each esport team and then like 4 content creators, and then you do like that debate style show similar to that, but like where you come and sit down if you agree with the opinion or not, and like you get both sides to agree or disagree. Oh man, dude, there's just so much potential whenever you get like all the teams involved. The thing is that we are obviously going to be starting with like the regular season for every esport here soon, so I understand that like using pros is going to become more and more difficult as time goes on, but that's where I think the reliance on like having content creators that are representative within each of your esports becomes really important. So we'll see what they do, but that was a great video to start the year, a great kickoff to 100 Thieves League of Legends and just the esports in general. But let's get to the part that we all care about, the part that we're here for, which is split 1. So I don't know if people paid enough attention to the video that was released during the draw show for the LTA split 1. Yes, we drew Disguised Toast, but the most important part of this is actually the fact that you flip sides of the bracket if you win your first match and then lose. So let me explain what I mean. If we beat Disguised Toast, we are guaranteed to play Team Liquid to try and move on to the international event. 2 teams from each side go. You can win 2 before you lose 2, and that's all that matters. If we lose to Team Liquid after beating DSG, we would then face the winner of the loser side of the other group, which means we would probably play either Shopify or Lion. If we lose to Disguised Toast, we drop down to the losers bracket and do play the loser of Team Liquid Dignitas, which would probably be Dig. If we beat Dig, we then play the loser of C9 and FlyQuest. So the importance of this first match against DSG cannot be understated. This is the difference between having to face a potential top 3, top 4 team to move on or not, or just playing Shopify. Yeah, I'm just going to say Shopify. I'm not going to pretend that Lion, I think, stands a chance here. There is no winner of this portion of the split. It is simply win 2 series before you lose 2. And this matchup against DSG, I am feeling pretty confident about. The first lane that I think most people's eyes are going to be drawn to is Abadage facing 100 Thieves for the first time, returning to North America against Quid, so the new versus the old. And I'll be honest with you, this matchup should not be close at all. I think Quid should gap him pretty hard. Quid is just a better mechanical player than Abadage is. Abadage like blended well with our team back when, but like I don't see a world where this should be close. Quid should be able to handle business quite well. Jungle kind of pairs alongside that, where River should beat XU. Like, unless both Abadage and XU have like leveled up a tremendous amount and their synergy is just off the charts, which I don't see. Quid and River were 2 of the best, or maybe probably the best mid-jungle duo outside of Inspired and Quad by the end of summer. And I know I'm always making the point that you cannot use end of summer as an indicator of where people will be at right now. Things could be different, and once we get on the Rift, we could be proven completely wrong, but I am fully expecting Quid and River to be able to step up and knock down the pins. Sniper versus Castle, we saw that matchup a good bit last year, and Sniper consistently was the holding zone and doing fine. Individually for Sniper, I do want to see him step up. I want to see the crazy plays that we did see in best of 1s back in spring carry over now to best of 3s. I want to see him getting advantages, getting these kills, but also be able to do more with it. I felt like there were a lot of moments last year where Sniper would get advantages, but then he's still down gold, down CS. Like, let's level that up. And his champion pool now with the addition of Mbessa, who he genuinely seems like he loves playing, yeah, this should be amazing. His flexibility in draft should be fun. I want to see him pilot a few more champions that can lead to change. I actually expect the Mbessa to get banned pretty much every single game, so I'm curious to see where they go with him in particular. Do they put him on like the Renekton, Aurelia kind of carry champions top lane, but Bruiser tank is kind of more the meta right now. I honest to God think Riven would actually be a fantastic pick with where things are at currently, but I wouldn't be surprised if they ban out his Riven as well. It is fearless, so again, if he does pick it, he then can't play it again afterwards, but like it's a free one. And then bot lane, FBI versus Huhi, a matchup where FBI did get the better of Huhi back in 2023 summer. But these two have played against each other a good bit, and it's going to be fun to see who comes out on the better side. But I will note that I feel like FBI Ayla feels like a step above Scary Jerry and Huhi, purely because like you have these 3 people who have been in the league and been around and been staples in Ayla, FBI, and Huhi, and then you have Scary Jerry, who I'm excited to see him develop, but like it is the clear like standout like question mark that none of us quite know what to expect of him when he gets onto the main stage. Will he step up? Will we see something like Calist where yes, he does come in and performs incredibly well right away, or will he take some time to flush out? We don't know. But ultimately, all this is going to come down to our macro. It always has. It probably always will, especially with the addition of feats of strength and Otacon into the game. There's even more objectives and more macro points to now focus on. While yes, first blood, first tower, first to 3 objectives. These were things that were always in the game. There's now even more of a focus on them, which means there's going to be more macro-based decision making that has to go around setting up for these particular moments. Level 1 invades, making sure that you're at objectives early, that your warding is good and ready for these moments that have even more weight on them now in the game. So this is going to be an area where, yes, we struggled last year. Can we grow to, again, become a contender? Can we grow to match the moment of what we need? If we don't, there's a risk that we could actually fall off pretty hard from last year if we can't solve the macro woes and more macro-based decisions become more relevant to the game. So that's why I am seeing a lot of people put their predictions out there saying that, yeah, they're not expecting 100 Thieves to do all that well this year because of that point. But I would say, allow us to grow. Allow us to evolve as a team and see where we go, because I have faith that we will hit that benchmark. My genuine belief is that we will reach top 4 come playoffs. How we go from there, how we do, we'll see. But at least for now, it is great to be back. It is great to have 100 Thieves League of Legends action at our fingertips again this Sunday. For those that want to come watch on Saturday, the Cloud9 series, we will be giving away a Cloud9 jersey here in New York City in Brooklyn. Come on out, come watch. I will be wearing a 100 Thieves jersey, assume that I'll wear one no matter what. But then we have our Sunday series, of which I will be live viewing it, probably on Twitch, maybe on YouTube. I'm still trying to figure out whether that hurts or helps the amount of streaming that I do on YouTube. But it is good to be back. Do me a favor, if you are a fan of 100 Thieves, if you're a fan of this series, drop a subscribe down below, drop a like, and put in the comments what player are you most excited to see this upcoming year and how high do you think they are going to grow? My name's David Shynock. Thanks for watching The Rendezvous. I'll catch you next week. See ya.